Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I rank the Michael Jordan base cards from 1986 through 1990. Basically, these are Fleer, Hoops, and the first Skybox set. And these are among the most iconic Michael Jordan cards of all time. Now, obviously, part of the reason for that is because this is from those few sets that existed before before he started winning championships, and the card industry finally started to catch up. So there aren't very many options. There are 8, in fact, base cards throughout this whole stretch. So it is kind of a limited amount of cards that can even potentially be iconic. But beyond that, some of these cards just have a really iconic look. And so it's fun to go through this and look at just how consistent these cards were in a time before Michael Jordan was literally the entire league. I mean, they look really good. So it's a fun list to go through. And most of the cards are, well, there's only one card that I think is an absolute disappointment. So of 8 cards, there's a top 5, there are 3 on the outside, and the card that I feel is very lacking between all of these is 1990 Fleer, which isn't a surprise. 1990 Fleer was an absolute dud of a year for Fleer for their designs. Football was okay. They tried too hard. Basketball, to me, this is just very anemic. That's the problem. The blue and the red, which was the theme that they had been carrying through, well, they'd done it for a couple of years. Essentially, in 1990, they were bringing it back. And by using the red and the blue around the picture, it kind of makes the picture look like it's a little bit, almost like it's out of focus on the edge. That's kind of what ends up happening. And frankly, that doesn't help because the Michael Jordan image is really fuzzy. It's not out of focus as much as it's just horrendously either printed or the printing plate was just horribly created. However it works out, these images are just terrible. There's very little detail that you can carry through when you're viewing the card, but also the image of him is it's very lackluster. I mean, the image isn't very good. I mean, I guess it's an image that could potentially work pretty well if there was more clarity to it, but it's not a very interesting shot of him. He's just kind of there. Yeah, I don't know. Unfortunately for me, this is a card where I almost feel like there's nothing more to be said because as far as I'm concerned, it's obvious that it's a lousy card. I'm just going to kind of leave it at that, even though I know there are a number of people who do like it. I don't know why, but whatever the reason, that's perfectly fine. And then we move on to number 7, which is one that will probably surprise you because it's 1986. I consider the 86 rookie card to be the second worst of all, the second least of all of these card designs, where this card only is appreciated, in my opinion, it's only appreciated because of its iconic stature of being the rookie card, that coupled with an incredibly bold design. I really like the design for 86. It's not one of my favorites, but they were trying to make a very strong statement, and they were succeeding. Just like in 1969 when Topps launched back into basketball and they used a tall boy, here they used a card where there's so much red, white, and blue that it's obvious how patriotic they were in making this card, even though the league colors are all red, white, and blue. That's just all the leagues do that. But for this card, it has such a fascinating, bold quality to it that doesn't really look like it was ever new. It looks like it was almost kind of retro forever. It's pretty impressive how that works. Unfortunately, it's the image of Michael that is the big disappointment because he just kind of disappears in the card. There's nothing special about this shot. He's just straight up and down. There's actually somebody blocking his legs right down at the bottom, so it's not even just him. But he's not, this isn't like Jumpman or anything like that. It's just straight up and down. Looks almost like he's blocking the basketball rather than going in for a dunk. So there's no energy to it. But again, it's the balance that he has and the fact that he blends into the background of the card, and also the fact that this image, again, is not very clear. It all combines together to be an underwhelming kind of lackluster card. It's only great because it's famous, and that's unfortunately the case with the card. I'd like to like it more, but I mean, the cards that it's losing out to are no cards to be ashamed of. It's just that whenever I look at this card, I want it to be better than I feel that it actually is. Okay, so now we've got the last of the outside of the top 5, which really surprised me when I found that 1990 Hoops ended up outside. Because this for me is my sweet spot. This is, well, I shouldn't say my sweet spot as much as this is the card that really talks to me, because this was the first card set I ever collected. So these are the cards that really are personal to me, and the Jordan card is really good. The problem is it's not great. And the very thing that I think is so strong about this card set, which is the speckled silver border, is actually what holds it back, because the team color isn't very strong on the card. It's strong when you put a bunch of these cards together, but on an individual basis, that silver, which is kind of a gray tone, it mutes the rest of the card. And then the picture inside of the card is, it almost has to fight the border in a way. And some of the images in the set do a really good job of that. In the case of the Michael Jordan card, this is another case where there's not a lot of energy in the shot. He is too isolated, and so whereas with Fleer, he was kind of buried in the rest of the image. He just kind of ran into it all. Here, he's incredibly isolated, but there's nothing to really carry me visually. It's just something, it's like a knife edge right in the middle of the card. So as much as I really, really, really like this card, it's outside of the top 5 because I think that all of the top 5 cards do a better job of merging all of that and having such great energy. Starting at number 5 with 1989 Fleer. And this is a card that has, I don't really remember these cards too well in 1990 and 91 because I had very few of them. They were older cards, but they were still a little bit expensive, and so that meant that I didn't really collect very many of them, and I never collected 86, 87, or 88. So the 89 cards always had kind of this cool mystique to them, but they didn't really look old the way that just about everything else in 1989 looked to this 1990 card collector's eyes. Instead, it looked like a retro card. It looks like a 1979 card that they retooled in 1989. That's really where I see it. It's a very blocky card, but it has a good quality to how it's crafted. Now, there are 2 major problems I have with the card. And the first problem is the league leader thing down at the bottom corner, which is unique just to league leaders. I don't think it helps the card. It does kind of hold it back. But then the other one is the fact that he, again, runs into the background of the picture. Something we're seeing a lot with Fleer. But there is a strength to it, which is that I really like the actual image of him. It is strong enough that when I look at the card, I do find him, and then I really love the image. So when I look at this card, I see it as a complete whole. It's an actually well-crafted, complete card. There are some issues that it has, which is unfortunate, and it holds it back outside of the top 4, but that's, again, like I already said, that's no slouch because, I mean, for crying out loud, at number 4, I've got 88, and this is about tied for my favorite of all the actual card designs here in this list. I think it's one of the best designs of the 1980s total. It just is so awesome. It is a design that's ahead of, it's ahead of its time. You know, the color fades, the bold team colors, they're so dominant on the card. And then with Michael, he is just right up front, and the red of his jersey pops right out, especially with the border. It's a great combination. So here is a card that I feel is better than when it was released. I love it, just period. The back is, you know, is good, but still, otherwise it is a phenomenal card. And the only problem I have with it is that the image of Michael isn't really that, it's not that engaging. I mean, the jersey is what you see. You don't see Michael. He's just kind of buried in it. It's just, there's no basketball personality on this card. And that's the thing that holds it back, which is a shame because I really want to love it. Now, if you want to see all of this done right, we move on to number 3, where I have the 1987 Fleer card. And this is a case where the card design is actually done, it's different than what we saw from the next two Fleer sets, because here it's so understated because they just want the image to pop out. The only thing that stands out on this card other than Michael is the Bulls text. But even with that, you're not really looking at it. You do look at it, but you go back to the shot of him, and it's all about the shot of him. And on top of that, it's a really interesting shot that's up close, really personal. It is him in kind of a point guard-like fashion. And the fact that he is so close to the camera and takes up so much of the room is so great. But then, like I said, the card gets out of the way. When you look at this card, you're looking at Michael. That's exactly what you're looking at, which is such, that is exactly what you're supposed to do. So even though, I like the design, I don't love the design, there are a number of cards I've already looked at that I would much rather like more, but at the end of the day, I gotta say, they really nailed it with this card across the board. And this is one of those cards that is so easy to be iconic because it has the iconic look. All right, so now that we are done with all of Fleer, let's move on to the last two. And at number 2, I've got Skybox. Skybox, this is, if I was talking about the set, I'd have it at number 1, even above Fleer, 1988 Fleer. The Skybox set is phenomenal, and the Jordan card is like the promo card for the set. It has this really interesting look that is different from almost everything else in the set itself, and it does a great job of highlighting the ethereal quality that he has, because you have a great image of him that has a lot of energy on the card. Ironically, it's almost the same image that they had on the 1989 card, even though you couldn't really see it on the card, which is unfortunate. But it is funny that it is virtually the exact same. But it's the way that the Skybox card is designed, where it has the the gold speckled border and then the black for the background, great combination. But then you have those colors that are streaking down, almost like lights shining down from the rafters. Something really special about this card. So even though the card itself doesn't have the energy of other cards in the set, Michael certainly does, but the card itself has a whole different quality that's very unique, very special, and very celebratory of him. And so that's the reason why I don't have it at number 1, is because it still doesn't quite have the iconic look that we kind of saw with 1987, but we definitely see with the 1989 Hoops card. And this is a card where it is all reliant on how well designed the card itself was, because the card is designed with a lot of border space up at the top, and they used a white border. And what the white border does is it does an excellent job of allowing for all the pieces to be very strong, very bold, very straightforward. You know where they're at, but you don't necessarily have to focus on them. And then it creates almost like a wall with a hole cut out in it, where when you look through the hole, through the keyhole, what you see is one picture that you spend time looking at. Because here, this is probably the one shot that is more blurred together than any other. If the lighting drops, you almost can't even see him. That's kind of the way it is. So it's an interesting card from the standpoint that the image shouldn't be as good as it is, but it is good. Like with the 87, he's basically playing the point guard position. There's this feeling of energy that's about to happen, like he's very calmly heading into the beginning of the play. So it does a fantastic job with that, but it really comes down to the way that the card looks. Like with Skybox, it's about the card, but in this case, the card is a celebration of a player. The text up at the top is a wonderful rafter, kind of an element that's up there and does just what it needs to do, gets your attention, gets it off immediately, and you know it's there. The banded team color above that is what really ties everything together. Brilliant choice. But like I said, again, that white border is intended to get out of the way and get you to focus entirely on the image. And that's what is so great about this card. And it's why I see it as the best card of all. The text is clear, the team color is strong, the image is well received, I will describe it that way. To me, this is not the perfect card. Instead, I view this as the card that does all the right things. NBA Hoops started on absolutely the right foot, and so that's how I rank these cards. Number 1, I've got the 89 Hoops. Number 2, I've got 90 Skybox. Number 3, I've got 87 Fleer. Next, I've got 88 Fleer. Then I've got 89 Fleer. Then I got 90. And then I got 90 Fleer to round it all out. That is my list of the top, or does how I rank all of the pre-NBA champion Michael Jordan cards in major releases. So definitely let me know in the comments below if you think that the order is different. Well, the big question, I guess, for everybody is where would you put the 86 design? I think that's really the biggest one. But anyway, regardless, yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so.